We should be live now.
Okay.
Oh, we do have more people.
Hello, everyone who's there now and everyone who tunes in the days to come. Uh, this is the virtual meeting for May of the FOSS user group in Natick. Uh, we're in Natick. You don't have to be anymore. So we hope we'll get a few new people. Um, Again, you can listen in now or later. Go to NatickFOSS.org to get information on how to do either. And I'm Dick Miller. My wife is Jill Miller. We're the co-leaders of the group. And we have a sturdy group of volunteers running the Jitsi connection and the YouTube connection today. So you can come in too. Um, my voice isn't doing very well. I've got a very dry throat and I'm speaking very high. Thank you, Jill. Time out while I do a volume adjust on the sound, hopefully. And we'll see if that helps. It helps a little over here. So again, I'm Dick Miller. Welcome. And I am about to switch my Jitsi over. And very shortly, you will see a screen instead of me. Right about now, hopefully. And this is our agenda for today. We may finish it all. The conversation may go to add something to it, but this is the plan. We have had a help session and we've been gabbing for an hour with people who wanted to tune in early, just to tune in or to tune in early to get a question answered. Instead of the introductory slide talk, I propose I just give a very quick introduction to what FOSS is about. As most of you already know, FOSS stands for Free Open Source Software. Free means no cost, although you are also free to contribute in various ways, including gifts of money in various of the projects involved. But there's no mandatory cost anybody can play. Open source means that the programmers are free to look inside to see how it's programmed. They're not only free to look, they're free to improve it, and they're free to take pieces of it and use them to improve other projects. As a result of thousands of programmers being able to participate, the more popular FOSS programs get tremendous support. They modify more often, they improve more often, they add new features, they borrow from each other and play leapfrog with each other as a feature is added to one or another. It's a very powerful means of doing business, and not just on computers. We'll be talking about that too. What else is good about FOSS? Well, you can get more, both because you can afford it and because there's more out there to choose from. That includes poor choices as well, things that aren't smooth yet, and things that might be wonderful, but not for you. So learning which are which is also something that our group and others can be helpful on. We feature things we like and give you a feel whether you'd like to work on them or look for something else. Also, there's the questions of security and privacy. A lot of proprietary software these days is gathering your personal data and remarketing it on purpose. And a lot of it is gathering your data and remarketing it by accident. They've got a leak, somebody else got in, someone else is milking their system to get your information through them. If anything like that is inserted into the code for an open source program, independent programmers will find it pretty quickly and get it fixed. But if they're not allowed to look in, they can't do that. So in general, you're much better off for security and privacy using the stuff that's also free. Isn't that interesting? That's why we major in it. My computer has, I think at the moment, nothing on it that isn't free open source software. I happen to be running Ubuntu Linux, and Linux is going to be open source. And so for that matter is Android, which happens to be a version of Linux. Uh, Mac is very close to it, but it's proprietary. And Windows stands alone on common home computers in being not open source and not built on Linux or something else that grew out of its predecessor, Unix. Um, so we're all on the same tree except for Windows, if you look at it that way. Well, I don't use Windows, although I'm on a PC. I just took it off and I put on Ubuntu Linux. We'll talk more about Ubuntu because it's the one we use here and we recommend to our clients at Miller Microcomputer Services. But our users include users of quite a few other flavors of Linux. And we'll try to distinguish between them. And most of what we're talking about will be valid for all of them. A lot of it works well on Mac OS and on Windows as well. It's open source, but the operating system doesn't have to be in all cases. So we'll try to distinguish what fits you when if you're not running on a solid Linux as we go along. I think that's about all I want to say from the introductory slide talk, but we'll be peppering in comments throughout the meeting. Good, here we go. The next topic on the agenda is the FOSS News. And the FOSS News today is only about new things to do with FOSS, which will be covered in other corners here, or the general use of FOSS to fight the coronavirus pandemic. You've noticed by now that it is a pandemic, it's not a hoax. We started much too late saying it was not a hoax, and we have a lot of catch-up work to do. And to do that work effectively, what do you know? The medics and the epidemiologists also have to openly share their data, not put a price on it, not say, this is my data, you can't have it. We're killing people while we play that game. So FOSS is in the news. There are FOSS programs being implemented so everyone can share the solution without paying US dollars that a lot of countries can't afford. And FOSS, free open source hardware, is also in the news for the coronavirus solutions. A lot of places are working on hardware to do various jobs. Oh, Jill, I should have asked earlier. We just got one. We got a little finger biter. It's a little fancier than a clothespin. It's made out of black plastic. Is it within reach, Jill?
Yes, it is.
Oh, fish it out. I will demonstrate this.
I have my computer here.
Oh, okay. I'll be back to demonstrate it. Remind me, Jill. We have a gadget that's now very inexpensive because the proprietary software doesn't exist to make one company wealthy marketing it. That's going on with a lot of coronavirus equipment right now. And other equipment is being modified with FOSS software to get around those cost limitations to saving lives. That's FOSS in the news.
Well, plus the, what do you call it, 3D printing of various parts and things.
Right. Parts are being 3D printed with open source designs for doing automated printing in very fine resolution on tools that are available in every city around. And you can print things for a few dollars worth of materials instead of $30,000 worth of the equivalent in some cases. Some companies don't like that. Some survivors will be very glad. FOSS to the rescue. It cuts a lot of ways. In FOSS history, I have one topic. John Conway has been a very famous mathematician, and he lost his life to the coronavirus. It was a very recent loss this past month. If you don't know him as a mathematician for what he did there, and that's most of you, I expect, you might remember him for the game of life. He described the game of life, and about 1970, it got published in Scientific American magazine, and people started programming it. You didn't need graphics. You just needed a couple of big square blocks of white and black, and you could play the game. So I think an awful lot of us who were early on computers know the game of life, and goodbye, John Conway. The game of life in this agenda, when you get your copy of it, you'll be able to click on that underlined section, and it'll be a link to a very good article on the game of life. And to the left of it, the underlined link for John Conway will work similarly. You will have those links, hopefully by late tonight, surely by tomorrow. And then they'll be up online at NatickFOSS.org, our homepage. When you get there, up near the top, you'll see where it says agendas. You go to the agenda page, and then you go down it to today's meeting date, and this agenda will be there in its final form. Anything we had on this list that we didn't get to today will be gone. Anything we didn't have on this list we did get to today, like Jill's little finger clip, will be here. So do take a look at it later and follow up on these wonderful links. So much more to do later after our meeting. Hot software. Well, for me, this is a very exciting and it turns out very awkward meeting because a lot of new things hit the road this month. The big one for me is Ubuntu 20.04. That's 20 as in 2020, 04 as in April. Ubuntu releases on a preordained schedule twice a year, and it's April and October. So we just went up from 19.10 to 20.04, but 20.04 is an LTS release. Instead of the half-year versions, it's an update to the versions they do every 2 years because those versions get long-term support, hence the LTS. Long-term support means if you're a big corporation, a hospital, a government, maintaining thousands of copies of Ubuntu, you don't have to have everyone upgrade every half year. As hobbyists, we love that. As people dealing with Ubuntu, we love that. But if we were just using it as our chosen operating system, we might want to keep everybody steady until once every 2 years instead of 4 times to shuffle in that time. But as a result, some of the bigger jumps have just arrived, and we jumped on it early. It only has been around for about a week and a half now. So you may, well, 2 weeks, but who's counting? You may want to wait a little longer while other people in the large group that's coming aboard shuffle out the last little rough edges. They tend not to be rough edges with Ubuntu. They're rough edges with how something else plays with Ubuntu. And we've been finding some of those. So we've been working extra hard. And in fact, this morning I found a problem with the way we were using Jitsi not meshing well with the way we were using Ubuntu. Still learning. By next week, I predict it'll be smooth. We shall see. Um, but it's very good news in my opinion. Ubuntu 20.04 itself, I did as an upgrade. This is the official announcement, and you can see where you can click for downloads. Uh, that's this link that I'm on now. Can folks see my cursor? Yes, they can. I made a nice big cursor for you. Oh, no, you can't. I'm moving my cursor in live time, and yours is hopping slowly over. That is, say, hop fast later. I'm now on Focal Fossa. That's the nickname for Ubuntu 20.04. It's the Focal Fossa. And they like to do these two with the same letter names for each one.
Weird animals.
And weird animals and no release. The Focal Fossa is really the same thing, but when you click there later, you will find it leads to a longer, independent introduction of what's new in 20.04. So the people that just want to try Ubuntu and don't know yet will probably like to just try it. The people who want to know what changed and whether I should try it now or wait a while might want to look at the detail in there. You can put it aboard by installing it or by upgrading it. I'll talk about each. I upgraded mine. The reason I did it was had I installed first, I wouldn't be able to evaluate the upgrade. But if I did the upgrade first, I could always default to an install if it didn't work well. And the upgrade gives me the advantage of leaving all my data and my configuration settings for programs intact. It makes a list of all the programs that are installed that aren't Ubuntu and that don't come with Ubuntu. And it even updates those if it can. Mine did a great job for me. Had one exception where something that used to be supported within Ubuntu no longer was, and it no longer knew where to find it to update it. Everything else got done fine. I reinstalled that one and it was fine. Just the one program. And it found my existing data. So my upgrade was a great success. I can't speak for everyone, but other people have told me theirs went very well also. That's the current local feedback. Installations can be done a number of ways, and I think what I'm saying for Ubuntu applies to most of the main flavors. First of all, Ubuntu gives you a way to install it, and that way most typically involves downloading a .iso file from Ubuntu, the one that fits your computer and CPU. And once you have it, you burn it to either a CD disk or a USB thumb drive.
Not the same as copying it.
Right, it's not a copy. Some of them you can do a direct copy, but if it's a .iso file, generally you want to burn it. It's going to unhitch into maybe 100 different files or more and do their job going in the right sequence and picking up your information where possible and installing. It gives you options of installing instead of your current operating system. Usually that means wiping your data as well. So you definitely want a good backup on hand to put back afterward to get your data back aboard. Easy to do, but make the backup first and be sure you've got it. Test it. See that your data is readable. Now, there are other ways you can install. When you get that USB install thumb drive, And by the way, you can buy them from us at MMS inexpensively. We're not much into shipping, but if you're nearby, they're $12 for a 32 gigabyte, very good USB drive, which also has an LED light so you know when it's busy, not just when your computer thinks it's busy, so you don't pull it out too soon. And in addition to that, uh, it has a lot of space left on it. I think over 10 gigabytes of those 32 for other items. We give you a lot of other items, including the original ISO file that we built it from, and including some of our favorite wallpapers that we think you might like to add to the ones that come with Ubuntu or the ones you already have. Uh, a few other things like that, some help files, etc. Uh, so if you're interested, they're $12 plus tax if you're local to Natick, Massachusetts. If you're not, and you want to send us a tough return address envelope prepaid, we'll be glad to toss one in for the $10, which you can pay for. We'll work it out when you want. But my answer to most people is make your own, learn how to do it. If you have a friend who's handy with it, let them tell you how to do it, and you'll like it. You'll like being able to do it yourself. Uh, you can take that USB thumb drive, pop it into any suitable computer, and boot from it and run from it in memory without changing your hard drive. So you can sample Ubuntu that way too. Not as handy as once it's on your hard drive, but surprisingly quick and handy all the same, and a very good advanced sampler of where we want to go. Same one, you can use it either way. So once you've used it on your computer, you can use it on friends' computers as well, and on your next computer, of course. And if you get good at it, you can retread that one for the next half-year version. Okay, there's one more way I want to mention. Well, two more ways that are one. To install Linux. One of them is instead of, oh, first of all, you can install it alongside your other flavor of operating system. No problem, just tell it you want to do it that way. And first you'll have to use the other operating system to cut out some free space on your disk, make it into at least one new partition, and play there. So you can do that. But in addition to that, you don't have to use Linux as a main partition. You can run Linux from Windows, from within Windows, as one of the Windows options. Or, turnabout is fair play, you can run Windows from within Linux as one of the Linux options. I call this not for beginners. You don't have to be a whiz, but it's not for beginners. But I'm pointing out there are a lot of ways to use Linux and to use more than one flavor of Linux with or without your existing operating system. We run a few versions of Linux on computers, on the same computer, and usually have long since taken off the Windows that came on it. That's the background to that. I also want to point out, next topic, the Groovy Gorilla is coming next. I'll go back to that, Joe. The Groovy Gorilla is coming next. They've already opened web pages for developers and testers. You can be an amateur tester to start playing with how to build this brand new Focal Fossa into a next version. There'll be 6 months of that ping pong match going on over there before it comes over here. So you can even play with that. Now, in addition to my installing Ubuntu 20.04, which I'm running on today, I've also installed Unity 7.5. Unity is one of dozens of optional front ends, the way the user sees the operating system. It's called a graphic user interface, and Windows uses the one that's crammed in at the beginning, and Linux normally offers quite a few flavors. They're just applications. Graphic user interfaces, GUIs, are just one more application, and you can go from one to another, back and forth. And I like Unity. Uh, I'll give you some reasons for it another day because we have so much now. Or maybe we'll come back to it. But I put it here because if, like me, you already like Unity, that's where you can get the latest Unity to go with the latest Focal Fossa. You'll find um, it will work smoothly in many cases. I hope in all cases, but again, I don't know that yet. A few more weeks will tell a lot as it just really hit the main streets for that combination. So we shall see. While we're talking about Groovy Gorilla, let me mention that there already has been a version called Ubuntu Touch. Unity was originally designed by the Ubuntu people at Canonical Limited. They did a great job. So great that when GNOME talked them into moving to GNOME to be more standard, and they did, the people who missed their better Unity front end kept it alive and kept it developing. It got called Unity, and Unity advanced until it's now 7.5 for the version that's the typical one. But something else also happened. Ubuntu had been developing an advanced version of it to run on everything, including your smartphone, etc. A lot of special internet hardware. So um, that became, that was Ubuntu Touch that elevated itself to Unity Touch, and that is a separate project. It's now called Unity 8.0, and it's not much at all like Unity 7.5. So they've just proposed changing its name to Lomiri. It's all from the very same tree trunk, but it's a new branch that went to Unity Touch, to Unity 8.0, to Lomiri. So now Unity 7.5 can keep evolved without getting too confused with the other. Okay? You may be very interested in Lomiri, and you can now go look for it. And here's the link that explains how to get started on that trip for when you're ready. That's a lot we covered, all because Unity just came out with a major new release. Big waves, and they affected a lot of issues. They'll be affecting other issues I'll come to too. Meanwhile, I want to say that one of the other very popular ones out there in general and within our user group is Fedora. Fedora as in hat, as in a derby, and Red Hat is the company that puts out Fedora. They put out an expensive version and a free-for-all version called Fedora. So Fedora 32 has just started replacing Fedora 31. Here's where you click to get started on that. Welcome Fedora. We've got a bunch of people just as busy as me because Fedora released and they're feeling it out. Now we're talking about something that doesn't have to do with our new releases. It has to do with the fact that everyone and his brother has been using tools, add-on programs, and the like that have been using Adobe Flash. Adobe Flash was proprietary and well supported by Adobe. Then it became open software and less well supported by Adobe. And Adobe has just officially kissed it goodbye. It's gone. No support. You got to use something else if you're using something that's looking for Adobe Flash. One that looks small, fast, free, open source, all the things we look for, is called LVG. There are plenty of other alternatives. These links will lead you to a lot on those by tonight or tomorrow. And the other alternatives include ones that come from the Ubuntu Software Center, which is built right into your Ubuntu, and the Fedora equivalent, and the Red Hat equivalent, and many others. Most popular versions of Linux have what is called a software store or a software repository, and there are a lot of independent ones that don't attach to one flavor of Linux. And you can go to any of those and pop in Adobe Flash and see what alternatives they come up with. And another place you can go is a place called alternatives2.net. That's alternatives like this, TO.net. So a lot of places to go hunt. I would start with the one for your version of Linux if you're on one. Use the one they recommended. And so we did, and everything's running fine. Firefox is our recommended, very popular, free open source web browser, and we recommend it heartily. It just came out with a major revision also. And will it run smoothly with Ubuntu? The answer is heck yes. They've been working on it for half a year to make sure. Very smoothly. But every place you browse to may not. That's not up to Ubuntu, and that's not up to Firefox. So if there is some little glitch somewhere, wait a week while people report it and it gets adjusted. That's all there is to that. We like it. I'm writing it today. It's made some important changes I've been waiting for, but they aren't all in place yet. Coming up later. LibreOffice is the open source world's answer to Microsoft Office, and a lot of people swear it's better in a lot of ways, aside from the fact that it's free and you can run it on all your operating systems. You can run it in Windows perfectly well. And those of you who haven't discovered yet, Microsoft has taken OpenOffice to an annual subscription mode. You either pay a lot or you pay a bunch every year to stay with it. Time you learned about LibreOffice. It's excellent. It has a lot of its own pieces and a lot of add-ons to cover all the turf you expect. So it just got a new major release. Same time, same month. We've got a lot in our lap to test out. And finally, Inkscape 1.0. Well, if you don't know Inkscape, you might say, it finally got ready to use. It's on version 1.0, the first final version to release. No, Inkscape has been there 20 years or more. It's the preferred graphics program for artists and for computer graphics artists, for vector graphics art, and it can do painting and freehand painting. And if you have a touch screen or a big enough screen that you can use a pen to write on, a computer pen, or a finger, you've got it. This is a major, major program. Why did they finally call it 1.0? The developer finally got all the huge amount of ambitious things he'd originally sketched into it. It's just one more release along the way, because trust me, there's lots more things getting sketched into it also and already being worked on. Uh, but it's 1.0. It's just one more release, but it's a beaut. Take a look at it, even if you're not interested, and think of who you know that would love to know that's free and ready to download. And wow, I've given you two versions of that to look at. One is a 2-minute video. It's all razzmatazz and not much information, but it looks impressive. And it was done with Inkscape, so you can do things like that with Inkscape. That's good, and it's quick, and it's nice. And this one is longer. I think it's 7 minutes of independent analysis of what's in it that's interesting, and plenty of links to go further, and recommended stuff. Uh, so a lot of new things just hit. They're hot, ready to go. And I didn't have to put anything in there that's hot because I'm paying attention to it, not because it just hatched. These all had something just hatch, and they're all pretty exciting. And they're all hitting all at the same time. It's making it too exciting, but that'll simmer down in a week or two. Cold software. This is not a section I usually run, but in comparison to hot software, some software just kind of went limp on us during this interim, and I wanted to flag two of them to warn people. UNet Bootin is my preferred tool for burning those .iso files into a bootable USB thumb drive when I want a new Ubuntu to put on a computer. My favorite way of doing it is using UNet Bootin. There's one trick I value immensely. It's unusual. And that trick is, in addition to all the usual stuff, in a non-complicated manner, it allows you to preserve a part of that thumb drive. That's how come we took up 10 gigabytes of a 32 gigabyte drive and left the rest for you to do other good things with, including things we give you on it. I can't do that without UNet Bootin with the common tools that are out there. Other people can let me know later, and we'll feature something next month if you have a good solution for that. Meanwhile, we have a computer that can still use Ubuntu 19.10 and Ubuntu and UNet Bootin, and we use that in order to make a perfectly satisfactory, better flash drive for you, and occasionally for us. So what's wrong with UNet Bootin? Well, some people on Ubuntu 20.04 are saying it works fine. And a bunch are complaining, not just us. We don't know yet where the rough edge is. We have some ideas and we'll go test later. But for the moment, let's say it is suspect, it's not fully reliable. My best feedback is anyone who's got it up and running is not complaining about the product. It apparently writes fine if you can get it to boot, get it to simply load from your operating system. So I'm putting it in cold software on a temporary basis with those warnings. If you can't get it to work for you, you can drop back to Ubuntu 19.10. Maybe other Linuxes will work the same way. Maybe not. Maybe it'll vary according to your hardware.
Doesn't it run on Windows also?
It runs on Windows, and I think it runs on Mac. So just take it with a grain of salt if it won't start properly. That's the only issue that I've heard of. Ubuntu Cleaner, similarly, has been my preferred product for cleaning all those items you've been throwing in trash. You're about to do a backup, and you really don't need to back up all the trash. And you don't need to keep it on your computer taking up space either. Why not clean it out and make everything neat before you do your backup? And I do that by running Ubuntu Cleaner. Same complaint. It won't start up properly in Ubuntu 20.04
No, it starts up. It just doesn't.
on
It hangs
our
while you're trying to
computers.
clean.
When you go to tell it to clean, it won't do the job. So we're on hold, waiting for an adjustment that I think will be a week or so.
A lot of other people are complaining too.
Meanwhile, yes, a lot of people complaining. I can't finger exactly where the issue is lying. It's between and betwixt, so we'll find out. Meanwhile, you can use Ubuntu Cleaner on something older. If you're more of a pro with computers, you can use BleachBit, which in my opinion is too powerful and too complex for me to want to recommend it to beginners. And Ubuntu and probably every other program will come with something simple for doing a cleanup of your hard drive or SSD. And you're welcome to use it in the meantime. But I'll be glad to recommend Ubuntu Cleaner again, like UNetBootin, once they're fully back in gear. Meanwhile, special category to warn people. And I've done it. I'm not going to do any work.
Dick,
Yes.
I Dick, about Ubuntu Cleaner and Bleach It, and also Stacer. I use all three, and you are right about Bleach It being quite complicated and potentially too powerful. It can wreck a system as well as clean it up. Ubuntu Cleaner is my favorite on 2004, and it'd be nice to get it working on 2004. Stacer and Bleach between them will get the job done if you're careful.
Yes, thank you very much. I want to emphasize we also are temporarily using Stacer. I should have mentioned that, and Joe put that in the notes. I will add that. You'll have a place to click for Stacer, and at least on Linux, my best prize for most users until we get back to Ubuntu Cleaner. And there's a couple of tricks for using it. You'll find, I think, the third item down in its little selection of capabilities is a whisk broom. You use the whisk broom to go into it. And for most users, you'll probably find a little dot that says clean all, and then you click on the brush, and that marks about 5 categories for cleaning. You can unmark one or more if you want to. And then you find the little whisk broom dot and hit it, and it'll prompt you for your password. And you give it your password, so you can't do this too stupidly when you're sleepy. And then it will, you tell it to do the cleaning, and instantly they will be cleaned. And then you close it, and you're done. It's very nice once you know what to click to get going.
Dick,
Yes. Yes.
yeah, but Dick, in Stacer, Stacer does not do cleanup of old kernels and associated with them. That's the lovely thing about Ubuntu Cleaner that it does do. So I go in manually with a tool like just a moment, I grab Synaptic Patch Manager, and I have manually pick out the old kernels. Ubuntu and doesn't clean out enough of them, but I know you like to retain luck.
Okay. At any rate, we have answers in the meantime, and you'll be able to go look at them. I want to backtrack through a little bit of where we've been and just show you a little bit for comic relief because we've been very techy for a long time. I want to show you the quick version of the Inkscape intro and take a quick breather. I'll take a minute switching over to it, so be patient.
Actually, I think if you click on it, since you're in,
I think I have to select
yeah,
it.
you're not in Firefox,
Yep.
so
Joe. So,
yeah. Stop it. Pause it. Pause it.
I think I did.
Oh, you did. Yeah.
And how do I get there? I go, I didn't pause it.
D.
thank you.
Already running.
Ah, back, I say, back. Here we go. How do we get back? Hide, right? Is it hide?
Probably, if you want to get back to it. Oh,
Get back to me.
you want to stop it. Stop sharing. Otherwise, it's going to be going in the background.
Oh, I don't think I did want to stop. I thought I didn't. Where am I? Sorry. That was not the answer. I should have gone over to here. That's what I should have done. And hopefully I'll be back.
Now hit the D.
And hopefully I'm back. Is that true?
Yes.
Good. I've been having my troubles with all these recent changes. Stick with me. I'll get able again with the new tools. Okay, so we've gone through that. Can I look at the printed list? Thanks. That'll do it. On hardware,
You want to bring up your...
not yet.
Oh.
I thought I'd stay here for a few minutes just to come up for air. First of all, did anyone have further comments or questions on the part we just covered? All the topics.
Yes.
Okay.
I was able to bring up UNet bootin on Fedora 32, but I had to execute it with a special command. I couldn't just run it alone. I can post the command. I'll have to do it, or I can send it to you.
Okay, thanks. And by the way, that's Jerry Feldman, one of our strong regulars.
Yep.
But would each of you introduce yourself by name? We don't know who's out there in general. So, and thanks. Any other comments? Questions? Onward. So let me see. Again, I'm not going to attempt to do Ubuntu on an inexpensive, tiny board of a computer that costs $55, tempting though that is. But I do want to mention a few things. One is computers especially laptop computers, that have air vents on the bottom, especially laptop computers that have air vents on the bottom and you use in bed, which is what a laptop was designed for, after all. They tend to clog up those air vents and get hot. How hot is too hot? Well, that depends on your computer and your air vents and how you use it. But wouldn't it be nice to know how hot it's getting? So I have a program I added to my computer called ptemp. Ptemp makes it very easy to visually see the temperature, to split the temperature into different temperatures for different places within your computer, and even different places within the CPU of the computer on the one big chip. And in addition to that, it allows you to set up a strip chart recorder to watch how your computer is warming up over time. Very nice, visual, easy program, ptemp.
P-Tempo, when you run it, it says P-Sensor on it.
I'm sorry, I take it back. ptemp was the other one. I'm not talking about it. P-Sensor. I should have been looking at the agenda. P-Sensor. Correction, P-Sensor. It's other ways to do it. You can do it from the command line on any computer where you can get into the command line, and I think that's every Linux. And it's not hard to do unless you do it a hard way, because there's a lot of tools in there, some of which are very complex, verbose, do that, and 57 other ingredients. And there's other tools like pSensor as well. You can also, in some cases, go online and get it done as a service. I don't recommend it. They're looking too deep into my computer to give me back the answer. I don't like that idea at all. So you will have links for pSensor and other options, and some will work on your computer. Main message: your computer is being good to you. Be good to it, and it'll last a lot longer if you don't overheat it. 60 degrees centigrade is real good. 7other than Chrome
Live streaming is on.
or Chromium, we have heard, and I'll be coming to that shortly, that that's a problem. I think I'll jump to that now, perhaps. Let's see. I'll jump to hot internet, at least briefly. And in hot internet, Firefox is now updated to 76 as of a very few days ago, I think 4 days ago. And 76 incorporates some big changes Jitsi has been waiting for, but not all of them. Firefox is still working to add WebRTC insertable streams. That's techie talk for a protocol that is not generally in use yet, and that Jitsi relies upon for smooth service and encryption at full speed. So You can use Firefox and a lot of other web browsers with Jitsi, but when enough people are online and when anyone is using Firefox and some other ones, including Safari, by the way, it'll slow down everyone's bandpass. We're going through a central server on the way to each other. So we're all getting one bandpass governing us all at some point along the way. And until those places, those browsers incorporate the new tools Jitsi is using, or maybe some other standard tool that becomes standard enough so Jitsi will use it, we'll have those problems unless you're using Chromium or Chrome. That's the catch. It's interim for Firefox. Maybe others will catch up. And Jitsi will move anytime there's a different solution that's standard. They pick this one to open with, and it's why we're doing well with Jitsi when we are. And it's also where one Firefox user or Safari user can slow down the whole meet operation. Got it? Let's see what's next on the list, Joe. I'd like to hop back for a few demos of things, but that was getting boring all at once. Jitsi Meet itself, I don't think anyone is trying it for the first time today on here now, but there will be people listening in now and later on YouTube wondering if they want to share it. Go to our homepage and our agenda page and find this agenda and click on it and look there at the Jitsi info. You can test it yourself very easily, and I think you'll like it.
If you put in tests as the meeting room, there are often a lot of other people on there testing at the same time. So
Algot has something to add, I think. True? Oh, no? Okay. I see the bottom half of your face and your elbow went up.
Just scratching my head.
Time to read. There you go. Now I see you. Okay. So let's see. Desktop wallpaper. I want to, while I'm showing, I was waiting earlier. Look what I got. Can everyone see it? Here I go.
turn it.
It's a little hard to see until I say open sesame or put it on my finger. And when I do,
And turn it on.
and turn it on, picky.
No, it- over here, it's not going to work, Gary.
What? Oh, there you go. Is reading my heartbeat and my blood oxygen level. This is your coronavirus main tool until you go start getting blood tested. And it's available dirt cheap on the internet. Look for the link. This is an example of FOSS programming and cheap hardware solving a problem. Anyone can afford it. This is hospital grade. This is what they're using at the hospital. And it's totally affordable. Trust me, it'd be $1,000 this week if it were being done proprietary by one company. FOSS in action. I wanted to show that, and I'm glad I did now.
Oh, and the cool thing is, am I going to show?
Do it on
Oh, I'm
mine.
not. Okay. The cool thing is
And
that
look on yours.
you can set it so that you can see it, or you can set it so that the other person can see it. So if you click the button, it goes upside down.
Because you'd be holding your finger out toward the nurse in the
Right.
hospital.
So that's cool.
It's ready for everything. So we will give you information on that to click on. And if your group of family and friends doesn't have one available, this you can afford. By the way, it told us we're both healthy. That's very good news because tomorrow is Jill's birthday and we want to be celebrating it. Now we can.
The clue is that if your blood oxygen level starts going down, you probably have COVID, even if you don't have other symptoms.
If you don't have symptoms, get tested anyway. You want one of these or to have access to one. Maybe your local place that is open to take care of questions has one for you.
Yeah,
How
I've had one for several years.
How
Yes.
much did yours cost, Dick?
Remember, Jill? I
No,
think
but I can look it
I
up.
think it was more like $10 than $20.
Hold on. I'll
Enough
look
said.
Yeah, I've been hearing 30 for reliable ones from drugstores, except they don't have them in stock thanks to the New York Times.
Right.
Yep.
We jumped when we heard.
Ours came in the mail.
Let me see.
Someplace other than Amazon to order one through the mail would sound good to me.
Yeah, I prefer eBay to Amazon personally, just because of Amazon's employee habits. But,
Well, I just liked
that's
Amazon long
personal.
before that.
Now that's personal. People will vary. But we used eBay, and it worked. And it just came in a couple of days ago. So it's,
And how did you determine that this is hospital grade calibration?
I'll send you the one we got and you can compare. I'll give you the link for the one we got and you can compare notes with the one you're looking at. And it came with a good 1 page, big, printed small manual. Surprisingly good, although not handy. And you can go online. Jill, let's make sure we put the online information about how to use them also. Separate. We'll give you the link we use separately for a good tutorial on interpreting it. Okay?
Where was that?
What?
What? Oh, that was under the FOSS?
Under the thumb, the finger,
Yes, but where?
hardware, I suppose.
Hardware.
That's where I'd put it. Did I?
Grade 3.
Stop, Joe. You don't have to do that for everyone. Just write in the corner how to use thumb clip, whatever, finger clip. So that's it. A modern clothespin doing good work for little money. I had wanted, Joe, and give me back the list, please. We usually have 2 copies, but we don't today. Good. And desktop wallpaper. I want to take a minute to switch back over to the screen, and then I'll take you through a few things I've been doing. This will only hurt for a minute. It's maybe not there yet. Go back to my fire. Oh, because I just opened Firefox right at the beginning. Here, Firefox. The way I have it. I don't have it. I won't do that. I'll go into my computer with the Nautilus file manager, and I will say what it takes to get to the wallpaper I'm looking for.
It was $21.24.
Oh, it did cost just over 20 for the one we
that
got.
included sales tax.
So it's about $20, including shipping, handling. And let's see, here's where I want to be. I've got one, now I'll get it to where you know about it. Very unhandy with this part of the game. This one, share. Let me know when you're seeing it.
I'm seeing it.
Yeah, we see picture.
Okay, good. Okay, good. This is an example of some of the shareware I've been enjoying. And I wanted some nicer wallpaper. Every new Ubuntu has a contest, and they select the newest set of wallpapers to include in the Ubuntu. I didn't care much for it. So, just a minute while I figure out what goes where. When I'm here, go in that first. Good, now I'm working.
Okay, it's changing.
I'm looking for, this is the wallpaper I'm using instead of the standard one. See the fossa, a wild cat, down in the lower right? I'm using this version of it. I like it a lot better, especially if I have things in my desktop that I'm using. You can pop things in there for temporary use while you're doing jobs, and I do. So I like that one. While I was thinking about it, I said, I'll bet there's other nice wallpaper out there. This one has the ominous title, The Beginning of the End. One of those fantasy ones, but beautifully painted. This is an artist doing this, and I liked it.
Actually, I think it's supposed to be Yellowstone.
And again, this is the kind of thing you might show your artist friend along with that new release of Inkscape. This one struck me as lovely wallpaper, and I like it a lot for mine now. This one is real, sculpted by the wind in Antelope Canyon, Arizona. Isn't that incredible? It looks like it had to be hand painted. Big time. Here's a different view looking up toward the sky from a different corner. Antelope Canyon. Incredible place. What's the ideal wallpaper for when you just hit your escape key by accident? Here's my vote. Take a look at the air hose.
Oops.
Whoops. Capital whoops. A lot of people in this group might know what Lower Manhattan looks like. And that's wallpaper.
Because the Twin Towers are there.
But back when the Twin Towers were there, if you look way, way, way up toward Midtown Manhattan, you can see the Empire State Building and the Chrysler Building, teeny tiny. So this is down at the Battery. That was a place a lot of you know about. But here's a lovely artist's rendition in Hong Kong. And I said, sometimes you have to, who knows where this is? This is a photograph, not a painting. That's the Beijing we've all made wealthy. Look at it. Look through that building at the building behind it, also incredible. So Beijing is a major player, as you already heard.
And you can see
Another major player. This one on the small side. So I got interested in what my favorite wallpapers might be, and I went shopping for them for free. And the way I did it was I just put in desktop wallpapers in my search engine. My search engine is DuckDuckGo, highly recommended. And it came up quickly with a bunch of nice places. I went to the one in Reddit. I normally avoid Reddit because there's a lot of foul language and ugly thought on it. But Reddit/r/wallpaper turns out to have a lot of nice stuff, and it's all in a proper manner. I found a lot I didn't want, but it was all done with good nature, and I found wonderful things, including all of these. That's just one of dozens of wallpaper repositories like it. So you too can have great wallpaper. Now for the other half of the wallpaper scale. Instead of going to a place with lots of wallpaper, wasn't the Antelope Canyon stuff wonderful? It grabbed my attention. How do you do that? And the answer is the very same way. You go back to DuckDuckGo, and in it, you put Antelope Canyon wallpaper, and you hit the button, and you've got everything you wanted for that one little detail category. I'll be giving you my sample links, but I just gave you the 2 tools for getting your favorite wallpaper for free. Get stuff that's at least as big as your screen resolution, and you will love it. So that's just a clue. Of course, they can go to full screen. Or I could go bigger and cut them down to a part of them that I wanted. But generally, they're formatted the way I want. Not always. Good. Next case, I was going to talk about, I think someone else was going to do bang searches. Did someone volunteer for that? Bang searches with DuckDuckGo? Let's postpone it. It's real good. And I'll give you an opening hint, but not all the tools. Well, why don't I do it that way? That's good enough.
Okay, Laura has her hand raised.
Oh, Laura, yes.
Yeah, I was just going to mention I'm a big fan of X Fireworks for the background images. It's not quite the same as wallpaper, but it's really cool.
Email me the location, please. I will include it in those links.
It should be in the Ubuntu repositories, I would assume, because it's a program.
Email it to me and I'll pick it up without having to stop now or worry later. Okay?
Will do.
Okay, thanks very much. And then we'll include it. Anyone else with a good idea like that, let us know now that it's coming and then send it along so I have to put it in. That's my reminder for when I put it together. First thing I do is look for comments that came in. Good, thank you. I'll go into my Firefox. Nope.
While you're doing that, I personally prefer my photo of Kilauea that I took last time I was in Hawaii.
Oh, was that what was up on the screen a moment ago?
Yep.
Nice photo.
How do I close this from here?
It's taken from a BlackBerry.
Is that what you wanted to say?
I'm one Chrome, not 2.
Yeah.
So when I was in. So this one wants to go.
No.
I think the image of Dick just disappeared, the desktop.
Yeah, it seems as though Dick disconnected somehow. Am I still getting weird feedback in my mic?
No, you sound fine now, Bob.
I opened a new instance of Jitsi Meet.
It's Charlie.
There's an instance of Dick and Jill that is not sharing mic or camera at the moment.
Hey, Bill, you finally got your camera on.
I won't leave it on for long either.
Bye, Bill.
Yeah, Dick and Jill need to turn on their video for the Dick and Jill instance.
I think he was trying to go back to screen sharing.
Jill, can you hear us?
Yes, but she's muted.
Two solutions: either open a new instance of Jitsi Meet in the browser or reboot if either of them can hear.
Yeah, reading Jill's lips, I'm pretty sure she can hear us. We just can't hear her.
That's because she's muted. We have Kilauea.
There we go.
Yeah, I like my picture of Kilauea.
I think we are now seeing Comica on Dick and Jill.
Comcast, various others.
Comical. It's got to be comical.
We have an inset of Dick.
Yes. And I'm going to what? Oh, bang searches. Okay, can you hear me again?
Gotcha.
Good. Okay, I am demonstrating a bang search in Firefox. Up in the orange bar, I will type bang W, and from this morning, John Conway. Bang W, bang being an abbreviation for the exclamation point, is already in Firefox. The W is the bang addition to go to Wikipedia. So bang W John Conway automatically looks him up in Wikipedia for me. And below, it's given me a bunch of Wikipedia options I might want to go to. Game of Life, Mathematician, I'll pick that one. It's that easy, it's that powerful. They've got a bunch of letters dedicated, and you can have letters, numbers, combinations, and I'm in Wikipedia, not asking if I want to go to Wikipedia.
And it says John Conway, mathematician.
And I'm reading about it. And there's a lot of entries on that one in Wikipedia, so I didn't get just one. I was too specific. This is the one it would have taken me to if I had clicked on my first option, just my entry. And that one, I think, that one has data, lots of data. So that's a bang W space getting you to Wikipedia. And the bangs are just one of the 10 tools in the next article. And the bangs allow you to assign new bangs of your own for things you do a lot. Or do a little, but want to remember for sure when you wish you could get back to them. Really powerful. So that's bangs. This works in any operating system if you're running Firefox, which you can. Highly recommended. It was there already. It's not just new. But 776, version 76 of Firefox, I understand has made bangs a little better as well. I don't know how yet. So that's one. I'm going back to look at my screen if I can figure out how to get there. Screen. And I want to look back at my index. And now I'll take you to my index.
You'll need to close one of them. Okay.
Pardon? I need to go
Oh, yeah,
the other Chromium.
yeah.
This one.
Go to it if it shows the
Let's see.
people.
No, this one.
That's the one
Okay.
you press the
Where?
key.
I press D
Yes.
and it'll go to that one.
No, it goes up here and you tell it to go to that one.
Ah, thank you. This is going to take a lot more practice or fixing the way I'm doing it. And we now should be going back to the,
Yay.
I think you can now see the main screen again with the agenda. Okay, I want to talk about inexpensive hearing aids. By the way, ways to read CPU temperatures right here. And it's giving you a lot of ways to read the CPU temperature, not just one. So you'll find some anyone can do on any computer. Some you have to be a hotshot, and you'll find the P sensor that I like. Testing your webcam we covered. You can go look yourself. And I want to talk about the hearing aids because a lot of us could use good hearing aids. In the US, hearing aids are very expensive. You count in the thousands of dollars. 4,000 to 6,000 are the estimates I got for my tests. Hearing devices that look just like hearing aids and may work the same, not all of them do, and that aren't hearing aids can cost $50 to $500. And by the time you get to 500, you're talking the real stuff. So I want to learn more about who's had good luck with the inexpensive ones and where. I'm soliciting inputs for next month. And I've got one article on the subject that'll be good for a start on the subject. It'll tell you what I'm thinking about. And if you don't need one, you know someone who does. So this is another good FOSS way of seeing how we can be helpful by learning more about the FOSS approach to hearing aid hardware. I want to know more, and I'll bet someone you know does too. We have a FOSS slowdown option to talk about. And the slowdown option doesn't have a link. It's right here in the parentheses. Mike Cornelison is the fellow who brings us Photox, my favorite photo program, both for managing photos and for improving photos. And Mike had a solution for slowing down your computer, which you just might want to do for testing. If you want to see how what you're recommending will work on a slower computer, make yours the test bed. Or if your computer is going too fast and making a problem for somebody else. That's unusual. Usually it knows how to gate for the other end. But especially for test bed purposes, this is wonderful. And here it is. The $, as those of you who use Linux know, is the terminal window prompt saying, I'm waiting, start typing. And the sudo is the first word you type of that line that ends with 1.0 gigahertz. You type it literally, including the caps and the spaces and the hyphens and the double hyphens, and you'll do fine. If you're in Linux in a terminal window. To get to a terminal window in Ubuntu, you just hold down Control and Alt while you tap T for terminal, and you'll be in a terminal window. So it's easy to play with if you want to. If you can't get out of it gracefully because you forgot how, you could always just power down the computer and it'll come up clean. No problem. So, special Android smart. Somebody? Does someone have a comment? Guess not. Okay. Special Android smartphone codes. Um, I think, is somebody ready to demo that this month? That's a no. Um, okay, I'm going to leave that as an invitation for people to play with it if you have an Android smartphone. You can look at the link I provided. First, for which ones are in it already. You can test your Android smartphone for secret codes with a list of what they do. So the one that erases it totally, you probably don't want to touch. You've been warned. And then there's an article on how to find yours, and you may have special ones not on that list that were added by the manufacturer for your model. So that's interesting too. Go ahead, read them. Some of them might be things you really would want to know how to do on your phone. So kind of like the bank codes that are built into Firefox, I think this may be very good news for people that become regular users of a few good answers. Hot Internet, I already added the Firefox one while I was talking. Firefox and Jitsi Meet, separate web links you can look at, are both working at these puzzles to get full compatibility. Until they do, I'm not recommending using them together with large groups. But 2 people can run fine on Jitsi Meet with Firefox.
We've done it more than maybe 5, I think.
Yeah, I think 5 have gotten away with it, and I think it worked okay. And it might depend on your specific hardware too, I'm not sure. So it's not that it's a no for now, but when it's definitely a yes, I'll be very happy. And you can read about the progress right there. Hot internet design going on. The desktop wallpaper you're now good at. I gave you links for both the general solution I used, one of many, and for the specialized solution I used, one of many, many, many. So that's that. We covered the bang searches, and you're going to read about the 10 extras, only one of which is bang searches. And Firefox is becoming a wonderful set of tools, not just a browser. So that's worth knowing. By the way, I compose my web pages using SeaMonkey Composer. SeaMonkey Composer is a piece of SeaMonkey, and SeaMonkey is a spin-off of the same things that Firefox is a spin-off of. Some of us remember from way back when. It's a parallel branch on a tree. So they play well with each other. And I have an interesting note here. I was mentioning this last month, and it's in Vote Now in Congress. Don't give your .org domain away to a private company. So you might want to look for a way to tell your federal congressman not to give it away. This will explain what it's about. And right now, it's apt to pop up for a vote any day. So
I think that the ICANN decided not to do it.
I heard as of 2 days ago, it was still up for a vote. Do you know newer?
I saw some information that said that they had decided against selling it to that equity firm, but I didn't read beyond the headline.
I think you're right that I read that ICANN backed off, but I think you're wrong that strong groups that picked it up through ICANN have also backed off. I think that's not the case. Anyway, go check and we'll both find out for sure.
In other words, the specific.
I think it's still before Congress for a vote, despite ICANN having backed off. So I will put in something newer if I find one in the links, but go take a look anyway, okay?
My guess is that what happened is uh, um, the specific sale was not going to happen, but they still want to make it so that it could be sold to somebody else.
This is a whole new business model. Be sure there are other people interested. There are millions of dollars riding on this for companies that don't care about the internet. They care about how they make money from using the internet by finding a free tool they can own. So,
Dick,
yep,
Dick, I found what ICANN.org at their site said. Their board has, as of April 30th, withheld consent for the change of control. That's April 30th.
what I want to know is it still before Congress?
Probably, and probably based on before ICANN did their ruling.
Yes, my understanding as of yesterday is that without ICANN pushing hard for it, ICANN is apt to get it because other groups are still pushing hard for it now. That's my understanding of where it is at. So
Probably it wouldn't hurt to contact our congressman.
precisely. Ed Markey, by the way, is right in the middle of this one on the correct side.
Yeah,
So
yes.
that's one I've checked with. And it looked like it was live a few days ago, and I didn't see any articles saying otherwise yesterday. I didn't find them myself, let's put it that way. So if you see one, by all means, send it my way, and we'll add it.
Just the icon statement from themselves.
ICANN is not of interest to me on this now.
Okay.
If this is going to get passed in Congress, I don't give a damn which side ICANN is on today. And
Yeah.
ICANN, it's ICANN, by the way. I don't give a damn which side they're on, but I'll bet you any money they're playing both sides against the middle.
Yeah.
They can afford to back off and keep a customer from getting angry while they still have other people hand them what they want. So I wouldn't pay much attention to ICANN today.
Okay.
That's my take on it. And again, if it's as active as I think it is, and if you want to be active on something for the internet, this is when to be active. It's that simple. Apropos of that, and in general, the 7-minute video is highly recommended. And you could look at it later, but it is good and a little passionate, but I didn't see where it was wrong. And that leads into the message that was fairly new last month: avoid Zoom. I've got some links in it here, and most of the links in it are, there's only 2. These links are newer than last month's FOSS meeting. So they're talking about the same topics, but they have newer information. I'm hearing a lot of talk on both sides about Zoom. Anyone that's hiring that many of its employees in China and isn't releasing the software for examination and is telling you you have to download the examination to be an active user, a participant, ought to be forbidden. That's my comment, and it's a strong one. And that's based on all the information we have right now.
Editorial statement.
So it's editorial, but the people I'm reading who are saying it's okay don't have better information. That's the problem. So when I hear better information or get it from you, let me know. My answer is it's a disaster that's being pushed by good people, including good people that we all link to. Getting the message.
Even worse.
Pardon?
Even worse, there's new news today.
Yeah.
Zoom has bought out Keybase, which was an independent place that you could stash keys for public reference. and they've bought Keybase to give them a path toward adding security. So Zoom has now compromised Keybase, in my view.
That makes it about 5 ways, and some on purpose and some by accident, but it's still open to that from supervision from overhead. Apropos of that, I want to mention Jitsi Meet one more time. Jitsi Meet has been in business since, I believe, something like 2003. It's very established and very open. But in 2015, it got bought out. It got bought out by a place I'm not happy about. But it got bought out with absolute conditioning that there would be no business interplay between the two companies on anything to do with its software offerings. It is still open source, it is still fully open, and it still is committed to being fully open. And that's despite an owner I don't like, which, if I remember today, is I think IBM. Not as bad as Microsoft by far, but still a huge company that can exert sway. They're not allowed to. So that's interesting. Meanwhile, they get technical help. So as long as it's open source, that's fine with me. And moderated by open source, not by IBM. That's the point. So I wanted to cover the immense difference between the two. I'm also watching with great interest Jami, Jami. And when it is as bulletproof and as usable, I may be recommending it instead of Jitsi, or at least in addition to. And you might like it for your, 3-person conversations and things like that.
We tried it,
Go ahead.
Dennis, myself, Al got, and I think you tried it, and it didn't work very well. Maybe we'll try it again.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
Jami hasn't worked very well. By the way, with Jitsi, the company that bought it was 8x8. Have they been bought by IBM?
Yes, in 2 steps. Jitsi is now, I believe, IBM. Check me. It's easy to check. Just search on Jitsi IBM and see what comes up. Or go to, or do
What I
it.
did was I have Jitsi acquisition. Now I have 8x8 acquisition. And it only talks about 8x8 acquiring Jitsi in 2018.
Good. Then I'm thinking of something different that's close. And I'll figure it out and tell you later.
Okay.
I'm wrong on that one, in the detail of it, but there's something interesting I'm almost telling you.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, under FOSS Fun, I usually have some really great FOSS games that I'm recommending for people to try. Today, it's different. It's Game of Life, which is very crude, and it's not exactly a game you play. It's a game you run. It plays. But read about it and try it, and read that very nice tribute to John Conway that was up higher in today's notes. And I think you'll enjoy it. Maybe you want to share it with others. That's from the past. Between, I think, is from the future. And all I'm going to tell you for now is just read the description. Just read the description and tell me if that wasn't a trip in itself. Then if someone wants to try the game and report back, I'll be interested in hearing.
Dennis?
And that's my full agenda for today.
I've already downloaded the game and found the link and downloaded it already, so I probably will try it at some point.
I'm looking for a report, but everyone, if you like, I can look in my junk email box. I've kept a few noted, but I've got good ones every week coming in, and we can or cannot do it today. But basically, I'm turning the group over to see who else would like to do something, anything, have a question, have a comment before we hang up. And by the way, for those who are new and are participating, hanging up involves the red telephone when you scroll to the bottom of the Jitsi Meet screen, and it's dead center in the bottom. Click on that and you're gone till you come back again, which I hope will be next month here in the Natick or both. Who else has something good?
I suggest you go and put your face up.
I'll put my face back up. Meanwhile, go ahead.
No, you have to go back
Right.
to the people.
That one.
That's the-
I read something interesting about the newest Ubuntu release that
Who's
suggests
talking?
this is all good. I'm sorry. That some of the changes to the Ubuntu store included breakage of non-snap packaging, which I guess Ubuntu is pushing harder than it has in the past. There was a different flat pack choice that used to be something that you could go through the store to get, but now apparently the store does not offer flat pack choices.
In other words, Flatpak is being deprecated in favor of Snap.
By Ubuntu, yes.
Yes, whereas Flatpak through other repositories is still quite available.
And I'll add that Ubuntu has stated they are not doing anything to weaken non-snap repositories, and they'll also be providing where appropriate, but they are gravitating to snaps. So they're pushing snaps, yes, but they're not backing off on their support to non-snap .deb typically repositories.
Well, .deb being standard older format, my understanding is that the snap is the way they are moving towards so that they can more easily have one package system that they focus on. And the snap packages update in the same nice way that the current deb packages update. But what the store no longer does is to offer that functionality for the flat packs.
Yeah, essentially, Snap is a container.
Right.
And so you're running actually a Snap in a virtual machine, which is a container. So it's a lightweight VM because they can package their own libraries, especially the ones they don't have too much control over.
Containers also have other advantages. They tend to be more modular. They'll uninstall more cleanly. And there can be stability advantages. And they can also be sandboxed for security. And all those things I've seen happen in Fedora also, and in Fedora on a Chromebook, where Fedora itself is in a container.
Linux has 57 varieties of containers, other things like containers, ways you can put pieces of your computer in different places, or ways you can put 5 computers into your computer effectively. And I think most desktop users don't much care as of the past. As of next year, I think they're going to start caring more. And one thing I noticed is Firefox in this new version 76 release has its own version of container built in. So if you want to browse to a website you do not trust, you can do it from a walled off portion of your computer that can't access the rest of your computer from the other end. It's a built-in container within an application. That's the first one I've bumped into in one that I use. And I'm looking forward to testing it out.
Well, also in Chrome and in Chromium, each tab is its own process.
Yes.
That's a little different. That's a very different approach, but it's another way of doing it.
Yep.
Which is some of the Chrome and Chromium philosophy that has the Jitsi people trying to get Firefox on board all the way for the rest of the tricks. I agree. I'm very interested in what comes next.
Also about Jitsi, this problem of having hops and having end-to-end encryption broken at each of these hops, like Zoom does. Jitsi already has a way in the Chromium browsers to overcome that, but it's still in beta. And they're trying to port that to Firefox.
Yes, I commented on that, but in code. The techie part is going to lead you to detailed conversations of that, one within Firefox developers and one within Jitsi developers.
Yeah.
And you'll get the communication between them by looking at both of them. Very clear. Jitsi has the capability for end-to-end encryption between each of us. And the catch is they can't do it through a server has to process it in the middle.
Yeah.
If you want to set up your server, Jitsi Meet can now give you end-to-end encryption with Chrome or Chromium, no problem. But without Chrome or Chromium, they can't. And without your server, they can't yet. That's the piece that they're both working to get in soon.
Yeah, technically they're working on an API.
Yes. So hurry up and wait. But this is going on by the week, not by the year. They're really working on it. And some of it is already aboard. Anybody else? Anything else good for the week? Okay, before I ring off, I want to thank everyone for participating, and I want to wish you all a very, very happy birthday. Oh no, that was Jill.
Charlie, want to say something?
Oh yes, here, Charlie, just a minute, you're on. Charlie, talk. You have your microphone turned on? Down at the bottom, next to the red telephone button, do you have your mic and video turned on? Your video is on. I'm not hearing. Good.
My mic should be on.
Now I hear you.
Okay. We had somebody mowing the lawn. I didn't think you wanted to hear that.
Oh.
I was very interested in the your how to identify ID. You had Intuit in there. What was the subject about?
What did I miss?
What? No, that was part of the junk mail.
Yeah.
Oh, within the junk mail?
Yes.
I don't know. I'm going to guess offhand that it was an imitation message, as if it were from Intuit.
Okay.
I collect a lot of those. They are getting better and better. I usually have a way to show you how to break the code. And lately it's been getting trickier and trickier. So that little trick in Firefox and Chrome and Chromium may be of increasing interest, where it walls off your computer from the other communicator.
Oh, we've been getting invoices allegedly from Intuit, which is it's an email. And
that was an invoice, right?
For $167.17 is attached. You now have the option to pay invoices online with a credit card. Thank you for your business. And it's a spreadsheet file. It says invoice and a number .exe.
And what's in when you click it is anyone's guess.
And obviously they're looking for your credit card numbers.
So it's not into it, but it says it's into it. That's what that one was.
All right. Thank you.
We got a lot of trouble like that.
We got 3 of them on the 4th of May and 1 on the 6th.
Of that one message.
That very message.
So several people are sending it too.
Right, different invoice.
Or they're sending it to a large bulk address list that they got off of Zoom, for example. So that's some of the problem.
And the return address is, it says it's from QuickBooks@notification.intuit.com, so it looks okay. But I think what they're doing is they've got this spreadsheet, and it's probably has, because it's a Excel spreadsheet, it probably has macros in it that are going to siphon off whatever you put in there. Don't know. Don't want to look.
No.
Well, I will do more practicing on the desktop swapping for next time. It should be a lot easier than I was doing it today. And everything else about Jitsi has been fine from our measurement here and elsewhere. But that one is very awkward for me. I need to use the tools better. So I'll work on that.
Yeah, Dick,
Yep.
when you're speaking or when a speaker is speaking, what the speaker should do is go and mute everybody. That way you won't have people coming up. It says mute everybody else somewhere in here.
Yeah, yes, thank you. I can do that.
Yep.
I think that won't affect much of the bandwidth though, Jerry. I mean, I wasn't hearing a lot of background noise except when we were fumbling, I think.
Yeah. Well, when
There's somebody talking in the background.
I don't mind the background until it intercedes. And I don't think it was interceding on either measure I have, which is noise or bandwidth slowdown.
yeah, but when you're in full screen mode and you're talking and presenting, when somebody else starts talking, they will pop up.
Aha.
And
Well, I forget. You're right. I'll get better. The
So-
first point you have is I should get better at it first, and then I'll
if
practice.
you mute everybody else, that tends to work.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll try that. Thank you.
And then
And,
if we have something important we really want to add, we have to take the effort to unmute ourselves.
Bob, you just got infinitely sharper in your image compared to before. Might be everyone else watching.
My bandwidth just got better. My connection got better.
Yeah, it sure shows.
And your sound is much better.
Yeah, like I say, before I had a bad connection and I had to actually open a new instance of Jitsi. But this time it just spontaneously happened because it's 5 o'clock. Somebody stopped playing video games upstairs.
On my end, I was seeing 2 Chromium icons and getting confused between them. And I just have to practice more. I was doing it in an awkward multi-step manner. What I really want is just a toggle to go between my face and my video and my display screen. And the D promises to do that, but doesn't quite deliver it the way I've been using it. I should just be able to hit the D key in Jitsi. So I'll do more research on that. But thanks so much. Anything else for today? Had a great time, and it looks so good. I want to go out and take a walk
Before
the rain.
Before the rain hits the fan, so to speak.
Good. Thanks again. Bye now.
Thank you,
So
Dick.
long, everyone.
Okay, bye everyone.
Take care.